This game mode's fun, but I wish there was some sort of like boss enemy or zombie of some sort. Maybe like a hound from hell, like a hellhound of sorts, maybe. Jesus Christ, what am I doing right now? Nach, untoten, and verruckt were zombies maps that played it fairly safe when it came to the game itself, that being one type of zombie, that being an actual zombie. Many other zombies games that were coming out at the time had multiple zombie types and variation. However, World at War only had the normal based zombie when it initially came out. That was of course until Shi no Numa was released, introducing the one and only Hellhound. The Hellhound, of course, is the most iconic boss zombie, so in this video we'll be talking about how it became a joke. If you're someone who played World at War, Black Ops 1 zombies when you were young, you may remember that Hellhounds were actually quite difficult and scary enemies. So you're probably wondering how they became a joke then if you remember them being such difficult enemies. Well, that's the thing. They used to be difficult enemies. In World at War, they were actual tough opponents. They earned the name of a boss zombie because, well, they were a boss. They were fast and they were fucking furious. They were out for blood. These things were so fast that they'd literally run past you and then like turn around. Like, what the hell? If you've ever seen someone try to get to round 10,000 on Shi no Numa, you'll probably know that 9 times out of 10, the things that actually downs them are, well, the Hellhounds and not the actual zombies. And that's because even with perks, even with the Wunderwaffe, these things were a force to be reckoned with. Hellhounds would of course go on to return into Riese, but for now let's turn our attention to Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Specifically the map untoten. Of course, as a lot of people know, this is the most famous zombies map of all time, which means that of course the most people had the most exposure to this map, which of course means a lot of people remember the scary Hellhounds over the, joke Hellhounds. When BO1 came out, Hellhounds were still a fresh and new idea, seeing as this was the third map that featured them, so people didn't really bat an eye at the fact that they were returning. They just saw it as a safe boss zombie for new and old players alike, and this would also make sense considering that, as many know, untoten was originally going to be on World at War. Interestingly enough, 5 didn't have any Hellhounds and instead had the Pentagon Thief as its boss. This was a theme that would persist throughout the rest of BO1 zombies, and interestingly enough, Hellhounds did actually make an appearance on Moon in Area 51. They don't really do anything other than annoy the fuck out of the player, but yeah, they're here. Moving on to Black Ops 2, where interestingly enough, they weren't on any maps. However, in custom games, you can enable them on the green run maps. Why the fuck can you enable them on the green run maps? So that's a good question. You see, originally, there was a lot of concepts that didn't actually get implemented into transit. One of them being that the bus would break down, Hellhounds would like circle the bus and you'd have to like kill them. Glad that didn't make it into the map. So naturally it was scrapped, and now on any of the green run maps you can enable the option to have Hellhounds, and they're fine, I guess. They have kind of weird AI and the sounds are off. Like, take a listen for yourself.
Fetch me their soul!
Fetch my grenade, devil voice!
Fetch me their souls!
Like, maybe it's just me, but something feels so off about them. I don't even know what it is. Maybe I'm going insane, I don't know. And of course, just like clockwork, the next Black Ops game would come out, that being Black Ops 3, where the Hellhound was featured on the giant and riese. Now, at this point, they'd been featured on a couple of maps, but by now it was starting to get a little bit stale, considering that after, untoten and Black Ops 1, each map opted to have their own unique boss enemy. The giant and riese both had dogs still. Considering that the giant is a remake of riese, it does make sense that they would of course have Hellhounds in the map, but riese was a little, weird. Considering that the Panzer already exists on the map, it doesn't really make sense for them to include, well, Hellhounds when you already have a boss zombie on the map. But with all that being said, this is finally where Hellhounds became a joke. If you play Black Ops 3 and, kill a Hellhound, you'll notice that they basically pop like fucking water balloons. What the fuck? This problem would of course be further exemplified with the release of Zombies Chronicles, where every map that did have Hellhounds in the old versions would of course receive them in the new versions, but instead of, having the difficult Hellhounds, as we discussed earlier, they would of course have the BO3 Hellhounds, where they would, pop like fucking water balloons. So I guess you could say this is really the point where Hellhounds became a joke. All of these maps where they're easy as fuck to kill, but we are only getting started, trust me. Oh yeah, now shit's getting real. With how already controversial Black Ops 4 Zombies was, of course, we have the Hellhounds returning in 3 maps, that being Blood the Dead, Classified, and of course, untoten. Of course, with how many reused assets and revamped maps are in BO4, it was already controversial enough that these maps are being remade, let alone bringing Hellhounds onto maps that didn't have them, unlike Zombies Chronicles, because of course 5, Call of the Dead, and Mob of the Dead didn't have any Hellhounds on them, despite the fact that now, well, they seemingly do. With how many boss zombies were introduced on different zombies map up until this point, it seemed a little weird to include Hellhounds, seeing as it was kind of just a cliche way of saying, here, let's give the player max ammo. You can go back to killing zombies now. And finally is, of course, blackopscoldwar, which finally opted to do something different with the Hellhounds. Of course, it would just be better if, they didn't exist, but they're still here, unfortunately. Starting with D-Machine, we have Plague Hounds, which might be one of the most annoying enemies of all time. So imagine crawlers, but, they're fast. That's all I can really say about them. They're annoying, but honestly, I would rather have them over normal Hellhounds because at least they're just interesting. At least it's something different. Like, they're annoying, but at least it's something different, and this is the first time that's being different. And they appear in Firebase Z2, so, hooray! So with all that being said, this is the eventual journey of how Hellhounds went from being a boss zombie that was feared by the community to one that was just kind of shrugged off by the community and became a giant eye roll to everyone who saw them when they were playing a map. Thank you guys for watching, and comment down below what you think about the Hellhound. Wait, are they even in Vanguard? Hold on, I gotta investigate.